Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Old Man and the Read. My name is Jerry. Well, I'm going to do another 15 favorite book videos. The first one I have is Botchan by Suzuki Natsumi. And this is about a young man who's a bit of a misfit. He's very self-righteous and very arrogant. He's not really liked by anybody, including his mother. After he graduates, he goes to a small school on a small island to teach. But he has several misadventures, and eventually the circumstances make him quit his job and go back to Tokyo. The next book is The Barracks Thief by Tobias Wolff. And this is a story that follows Philip as he grows up and then enlists in the paratroopers during the Vietnam War. He makes a couple of friends, somebody named Hubbard and Lewis, but it's a strained friendship. The friendship becomes even more strained when someone begins stealing wallets left in the barracks. The next book is a great little essay. It's The Life of the Bee by Maurice Maeterlinck, and it's very poetically written, a very poetically written essay on the bee. It's essentially a study of the social aspects of the hive. And I've read several of Maeterlinck's books, and like most of them, there's an underlying feeling of philosophical symbolism and harmony. The next book is So Long, See You Tomorrow by William Maxwell. This is about an elderly man who is reminiscing about a childhood friendship from 50 years before. The friendship had ended when his friend's father killed another man, and he begins remembering the events that led up to that murder, and then about the murderer's suicide. Next book is Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogol. This follows Chichikov. He's a bit of a con man and has a get-rich scheme that involves buying dead serfs from landowners. The system that was in place at the time required landowners to pay taxes on all serfs until the next census. So if one dies, they still have to pay taxes. His problem, though, is that the landowners are just as dishonest as him. The next book is Aliens by Jim Al-Khalili. This is actually a collection of essays, just really outstanding, and they're by several of the leading scientists about the prospects of finding extraterrestrial life. Some of the scientists think that life is nearly a certainty, while others think that it's very rare and that life on Earth was basically a lucky fluke. The next book is World's End by Upton Sinclair. This is the first in a series of books about Lanny Budd that Sinclair wrote. And it begins in the early 1900s when Lanny is a very young teenager and follows his wife through World War I. In the book, Sinclair exposes that the real reason for World War I was basically Middle East oil. The next book is The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. This follows a reverend who takes his completely unprepared family to a small village in the Congo for missionary work, and this takes place in 1959. The reverend is extremely arrogant, and he makes lots of mistakes, and he's clueless on why the villagers won't have their children baptized in a river full of crocodiles. The next book is My Merry Mornings by Ivan Klima. Lots of really excellent short stories that blend both humor and absurdity. But most of the stories are told in the first person by Klima as himself and talk about life in Czechoslovakia. The next book is Martin Dressler by Stephen Milhauser. This story follows Martin Dressler for almost 3 decades. He's a young go-getter, and he starts from nothing and slowly builds up a fortune. But he starts with opening a luncheonette, and that progresses along, and then he gets into hotels and starts getting into grander and grander hotels, but then things begin to fall apart. Next book is Into Thin Air by John Krakauer, a great little true adventure. This is Krakauer recounts his harrowing ascent of Mount Everest. After he had achieved the summit, he was suffering from oxygen deprivation and just complete exhaustion. So as he was descending to camp, a huge snowstorm came in, but he managed to make it back to his tent, just completely exhausted, and suffered an extremely cold night. And then the next day, they discovered that 6 men had not returned to camp, and 5 of them were later found dead, and one of them was severely frostbitten and had an arm amputated. The next book I have is the Complete Poems and Plays 1909 to 1950 by T.S. Eliot, and this is basically a collection of all of his poems and 3 of his plays. The next book is Annie Dunne by Sebastian Barry, just a fantastic writer. This is about an older spinster who has become homeless and has to move in with a cousin on a small farm. Then a nephew of hers leaves his 2 kids with her to be cared for while he goes looking for work, and he's gone for about 2 months. But this gives Annie the experience of motherhood, something she had never known before. The next book is Operation Shylock by Philip Roth, and this is really a hilarious story in which Roth satirizes himself, Israel, and the Jewish people in general. But it's about when he travels to Israel and he discovers an imposter who has been passing himself off as Roth. The imposter is identical to Roth in looks, and he has been advocating for the resettlement of the Jewish people back to Europe. And the last book I have is Prague Winter by Madeleine Albright. And this is a personal story of Albright and her memories of the Nazi invasion of Czechoslovakia when she was 12 years old. Most of the story is about the history of the region, and a great deal of it is about World War II. So those are another 15 books of some of my favorite reads. So I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you again on another video maybe.